In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the invisible fasten off, which is a technique that you would most likely use when you are finishing an open piece like this one. So an open piece means that it's a piece that's purposely going to have a hole in the middle so that, say you were going to put stuffing inside of it, you still could access the inside of the piece. And if you're making amigurumi or crochet stuffed toys, what it likely means is that this is some part of your piece that's going to get sewn onto another piece. For example, something like an ear or an arm or a leg. And the reason why you do an invisible fasten off is that if you were to do a regular fasten off at this point, you would have a knot over here, and then you would have a taller part of your piece over here that suddenly becomes a shorter part, which makes it quite obvious where you began and ended your piece. So with this method, it's going to look like one seamless, flat, nice piece. So to begin with, let us pretend that we have just finished our last stitch of this open piece, and instead of fastening off as we normally would, we're going to cut the working yarn to make a yarn tail that I would say should be at least 3 times the circumference of whatever it is, of whatever this open piece is. Usually I would say at least 6 inches long, and you're probably pretty safe. And then you're just gonna pull the yarn tail all the way through. Put your hook aside, won't need that anymore. Grab your tapestry needle and thread it with the yarn. Now we are going to analyze our piece. So here is where the last stitch was made. You can see that it's grabbed through this stitch. We're going to put the tapestry needle not in the following stitch, but in the one after that, from the outside in. And then we're going to pull the yarn through, not all the way. So I still have, quite a nice amount of yarn here. And the reason why is because we are going to now analyze where the yarn tail came from. So let's spin this around again. And you want to look at the stitch that this yarn tail is coming out of. Now we are going to put the tapestry needle through only the top loop. So the top loop, if you imagine that every stitch looks like a V, the top loop is the top of that V, which is this one. So you're going to put the tapestry needle under the top loop from the bottom to the top. And then you're just going to pull all the way until you get what, voila, looks just like a V, like every other V in this round. This is the V that you just made. So I'm going to take my needle out so that you can see how nice and even it looks. You can barely tell where you ended your piece. And from here, if you're going to crochet this onto another piece, you would take this yarn tail and use it to sew this piece onto another. And if you were not going to do that, and like say you're ending a hat or a basket, you would actually weave in the yarn tail on the inside probably of your piece so that it's not as visible. And that is the invisible fasten off.